All right, so this week in Pax Dei, we got the Proving Grounds Verse 1 major content patch that came out, adding a new biome, new improved combat mechanics and combat moves, as well as some other features that we weren't expecting to see, like visual wear and tear, and a whole heck of a lot more. More excitingly, today on Friday, we also got the next roadmap that is detailing verse 2's content, which is going to be coming in the winter time, as well as some more confirmation of features that we can expect later on during early access. This is extremely exciting. It's really great to see the next verse, the next content patch is going to intrinsically change Pax Dei for, in my opinion, and most likely everyone's opinion, the better. It's adding market stalls and the gold economy. We're going to talk about all of that. There's also a patch that came out today, which is making a couple of fixes, among other things. And we're going to talk about all of that and a whole lot more in today's episode. But hello and welcome all of you professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content out there. I'm Altari the Professional Gamer, and this is another episode of the PAX Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped this week in Pax Dei. All right, we're going to head over to playpaxday.com, where we're going to go over the road ahead, the next roadmap for Pax Dei. Like I said, there's some really exciting stuff on there, so I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on playpaxday.com. And you can see here, Pax Dei Proving Grounds, Early Access Verse 1. But more importantly, the thing that makes me really excited, the road ahead. I love the road ahead because it always shows all the cool new stuff that is coming out for Pax Dei. Now let's just go ahead and get straight to it. We already know what came out in Verse 1. For anyone who's just catching up, there is a new biome. It's the Corrupted Plains. There has been an improved combat moveset. We're planning a video to come out in the next week detailing a lot of the changes to combat. We have some old PvP footage, and now we have some new PvP footage that we're actively working on. And this is going to show some of the just incredible improvements that have come with combat. They're incremental, but they are really, really good for what they're worth. In addition to that, we got new enemy camps, some new spells, especially spells for starters. I mean, these are, I think, the maximum level that is required to make these 3 basic pieces of gear with some really, really good spells on them is level 5 in leatherworking or in tailoring. These things are incredibly easy to make, and they are going to drastically improve your early game experience because they give you access to things like heals over time, so you don't have to waste a bunch of consumables. It's going to give you access to stamina healing, which is going to allow your friends who might be tanking to continue blocking because you're healing their stamina. There's a whole lot of awesomeness with these spells. And then the one that is my personal favorite, it gives a movement speed buff for, I think it's 7 seconds. And it also is a CC breaker. So if you're in PvP, you can pop that thing and get the heck out of a shield bash or whatever you're having to deal with. Now, right now, there's not still much reason to go in PvP unless you're just a crazy person like I am and you like to just duel people. But as we'll see further down in this roadmap, there is going to be reasons to PvP, and that's why these combat improvements are so important to have now, because if they start adding reasons to PvP outside of Lioness or inside Lioness even, the combat has to feel and actually be good, because otherwise players are just going to be like, this is stupid, I don't want to play it anymore. Which is kind of an experience that we've already had in the early parts of the game. That's what early access is all about, though. So then next up, let's talk a little bit about what verse 2 is going to have. Now, in the interview that we had with the developers, which you can see linked down below, they did mention that gold and market stalls are to come. So this isn't exactly new information, but there is also this compass that is coming. This is a requested feature. So before we had, you could press G and that would create it was a winds of direction where your character would see visually a visual cue of like winds, magical winds that are guiding you to a waypoint that you set on your map. It seems as though they might be folding and adding a compass feature so that players can actually kind of see where things are. I hope this doesn't go fully in the like New World direction where you just see all of the resources that are available to you in an area on your compass. That completely eliminates the need to go and explore and have a keen eye. I completely disagree with that, and hopefully Mainframe does too. But then also we're getting friends lists and some localization for Germany and France, or for German and French speakers at least. And then there's more to come. So this more to come, I think these are the features that they know are going to be there. They never want to share stuff that they don't know about, that they don't know if it's going to be there. So for sure in the winter update, we have market stalls, the gold economy, the compass, and friends list, as well as some localization in German and French. But there are some more features that could potentially get added into this as well, which they say later during early access. These things to me mean that they could also come up in the more to come category, but we see new furniture, farming with planters, weather, improved NPC behaviors, better crowd control, the knight roll, the soldier roll, altars, and miracles. I believe all four of these, altars and miracles, the knight's roll and the soldier roll, those things are connected. Knights make soldiers, altars and miracles probably make knights? Question mark. We'll definitely learn more about that as we get to talk with the devs a little bit more, hopefully in the future, and learn some more information there. Then we also have gear customization. I think this is the long-awaited dye feature that has been missing from the game for a very, very long time. We did have a dyeing station, I think all the way back in Alpha 1, but it's been over a year now and it hasn't come back. So hopefully gear customization includes that. But it's going to be really cool to see what this is. I believe in the Unreal Fest, there was also the opportunity to change patterns and other things that exist on all of the various pieces of clothing and armor. So that's going to be really cool. We also have an update to UE 5.4. We just updated to 5.3 and we saw massive, massive improvements when it comes to performance. But 5.4 is going to change that game altogether for how it does lighting and a couple of other really process intensive things. It's going to add some efficiency there. And then they're also planning on going to GeForce Now. So for everyone who is looking to be able to play Pax Dei using GeForce Now, you're going to have that. Some controller support obviously is going to come with that, but then voice chat is coming too. They haven't detailed what that's going to be like, and I know people have a lot of different opinions on it. So make sure you go over to Pax Dei's official Discord to talk about that and give them some feedback there. Now, some ongoing improvements that are just happening alongside all of the verse 1 to verse 2 stuff. We have some building / crafting balancing, some key remapping, improved combat feel. So they're going to keep on changing combat and improving it. They're going to add new spells, new enemies, improved permission systems. So in this update, we did get the Elders and Aldermen clan rank for both plots and also for chests. So that was really, really welcome. It still goes without saying, I think the plot owner can still do whatever the heck they want on both their plots and in boxes that are on their plot. So it kind of helps, it kind of doesn't help, but either way, that is how it is. And it is a really welcome change and we're using it a lot already. Now, there's also going to be expanded building sets and new gear. Obviously, new gear is going to be coming with new spells and new enemies as well. So there's a whole lot coming with Pax Dei in the future, and I'm really excited for what we have right now. There's still a lot of things to explore and relearn and learn for the first time. Leveling seems to be a lot more streamlined and understandable this patch. So journal update was really, really welcome. And we're going to have a whole heck of a lot of stuff to just be talking about over the next couple of weeks and months as we get through all of this content. But now let's head over to the official Discord, take a look at some patch notes before we end today's PAX Friday review. I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on Pax Dei's official Discord, taking a look at all of the patch notes, and we're just gonna go and look through all of the Proving Grounds patch notes as well as today's patch notes, Fridays. So let's go and dig right in. There is a lot to cover. Wipe support, so the world's topography did change. As a result, all of the characters got switched to vagrant status. In other words, your character no longer has a direct home. You are locked to your region, so if you're on a US East server, your character has to be on a US East server, but there are 2 server choices that you have now, either an RP or a non-RP server. And that is really great, because then once you spawn in, you can press L and access your redeeming queue, which is where all of your materials and equipment have been stored from the previous wipe. So all of these things now get transferred back to your character. There's a lot of cities that are just popping up like that really, really quickly, because people have access to all of their previous wipes, materials, and equipment. Now, that being said, if you're a new player looking to come into Pax Dei, this is a great opportunity for you, because there isn't that resource grab that normally happens at the very beginning of a wipe, because nobody else needs those materials. This is like free reign for you, so better get in. We also, just a shameless plug, we do have a partner code down below where if you use the link, you will be able to help the channel out a little bit if you are looking to get the game, and we do appreciate it though. Either way. Now, with that being said, the terrain, it's being updated. They removed several steep cliffs. I have my own personal thoughts on this. I actually don't like how the world topography changed. I feel like everything just feels flatter now, and I think there's still some work that needs to be done there. Either way, they also added several mountain passes with roads and a bunch of new elements to home valleys. There is a bunch of new assets, including the small camps. There's some really cool trees that are located up in the new like woods of old. I think they're called the Whispering Woods, and it is incredibly awesome either way to see all of those. Now, there are some meshes that have been realigned and some other stuff like that. Trees sizes are more consistent, and they added a couple of new roads for visual fidelity. For biomes, they redistributed the biomes. They added a new demonic inspired one, which is called the Corrupted Plains. They removed some gaps in areas between biomes, so you would have these spaces where you'd have trees, then you'd have like nothing, and then you'd have meadows or something like that. So pretty cool there. They also added demonic weird growths to appear in demonic biomes. A couple of ancient trees, eerie pine forests have a new look for the trees that are there, and just generically a bunch of new terrain and biome improvements. For the player map, there's new enemy icons. They updated the legend. They show more icons with map markers, and there's a slight cosmetic update to how the map looks. For crafting and building, they added the ability to allow players to set permissions based on clan roles for their plots. That's something that we mentioned earlier. You now, when you take damage, it cancels crafting. An option to move item stacks from inventory to containers and vice versa has been added. So you can just, shift everything over to one place or back. And that is a really nice quality of life feature. They updated the resource distribution based on progression, new profession materials, modified professions progression and XP scaling. So it's actually a lot easier to level up now, which is good in some ways, though I actually kind of liked the grindiness. It made it more unique when you were level 40 armor smith, as opposed to if it was easier to get to level 40 armor smith, then maybe it's not as important. But hey, who knows? There's still a whole heck of a lot of new advancements to come. I don't think level 40 is where it all ends. Now, gathering improvements, there's a no spawn area that has been around plots that's been reduced. There's also one button wood chopping and mining, which is great. You don't have to do the weird map thing where you start mining and then you press M and then you press M again. So your character just constantly mines, which is cool. They also added a journal that has a skill list. You can actually navigate through it and click a bunch of different places like for your skills. And then it brings you to all of the whole section for what you can craft. It shows you kind of a pathway of things to unlock. It also shows you what things you haven't unlocked yet, which is pretty cool as well. Now, I don't necessarily know if I agree on showing you that there's things that you haven't unlocked yet. It just, to me, it feels a little weird. Like, oh, now I need to go and explore somewhere because I know this thing exists and I just don't know where it exists. I feel like that's kind of a cheap excuse for players to have to go out and explore. I feel like it's better if we don't know what's out there, so that when we do find something, it feels more unique rather than people just all seeing a faded out, outline of an item and knowing that it exists out there and just doesn't know where to find it. Because at the end of the day, we still have that problem with wikis, which I don't believe should exist. And you can just be like, oh, what's that item? Oh, where is it located? Oh, I'm going to go to that exact location and find it. And then, now there's no exploration, there's no journey. And then people log off of the game and say, hey, there's nothing more to do because I literally went exactly to the points that I was supposed to take weeks or months to find, or not find at all. So I don't know how I feel about that part of the journal, but for the most part, it's a really good feature. For building, new building piece variants, there's curved beams, new street signs, new doors, grapevine facade pieces, and a lot of other miscellaneous things. In order to get to grapevines and most of the curved wood beams and whatnot, you have to get to carpentry level 34 or 35, I believe. So you have to really start leveling up, though. Once you get access to grapevines in the 20s, you will be able to level up really, really rapidly there. It's really great, actually, to be able to level up to that point. Some of the largest crafters are now easier to place on a plot. So we're talking about the furnaces there. And then also character fades out in front of a camera if it gets too close to the character. This improves situations where players might be building in a tight area. And players can now zoom in and out when holding the construction hammer. Players also can zoom in and out while in building mode by holding control and using the mouse wheel. These two things are sleeper ads for builders, which it's really, really good, and I highly recommend it. For combat, there's loot permissions. When an NPC dies, your character, whoever did the most damage, is now going to have 5 minutes to loot it. And then after that, anyone can. Active combat mode is when a character is considered in combat. And when you're in active combat mode, it blocks the player from using teleport to home shrine and the Breath of Life spell. Breath of Life is a heal over time. You have to be out of combat in order to use it. So this active combat mode here is something that's going to be used to stop players from doing certain actions in the future. It's going to be displayed on the on your HUD as a cross swords when active, and active combat mode is activated by harming an opponent when an opponent harms you, or when you cast the beneficial effects on someone who's already on combat. So you can't sit there and cheese it by healing someone that's in combat and not be in combat yourself. All three of those things, any one of them will enter you into combat, and it persists when the opponent is alive or near you. So killing all opponents ends the combat mode entirely, and then being within enough distance from all opponents allows combat mode to be exited after a certain time. So this hasn't been found out exactly what it is yet. We will find that out in the future, most likely on our combat video, so stay tuned for that. Equipping was improved to work more consistently and responsively by removing limitations and making the animations faster. So hopefully the shuffling around of your equipment is going to be a lot better, though now do note that there is a change where when you switch to different weapons, there's going to be a 10-second timer on your special attacks. So you're not going to be able to sit there and switch like 15 times to all of your weapons on the bar and just use your special attack every single time. So there is going to be a penalty now for switching between. Then we also have shield durability being increased. Yes, shields were way too easy to break. You'd have to take like 30 of them into a dungeon. This is really, really great. Awesome addition there. And then also a lot of attack animations have been improved upon. Enemy progression has been reviewed. They're adding some easy to take camps and making the progression make a lot more sense. And they've also done some visual improvements to Inquisitors and Lost Souls. And a lot of props and camps have been updated to reflect the faction that occupies the space. So there's some cool stuff there. Maybe it's hinting at new things to come in the future. Characters now running by default. Running and sprinting is reduced. And also, by the way, if you want to walk now, you have to hit left alt. That is the new keybind for stopping your sprinting or running. Fall damage has been reworked, so it's more consistent and predictable. Though after being on the previous system, I feel like the previous system was more consistent and predictable. Maybe I just got too used to it. Who knows? Blocking is now changing intrinsically. So blocking now forces a player into the walk locomotion state. Stamina no longer regenerates during an active block. Running out of stamina when blocking penalizes the blocker with a short stun. So if you are blocking and you run out of stamina while blocking, you get stunned for a short period of time. That means you can't just sit there and hold your right click up for as long as you want. Blocking stops the negative effects from being applied for melee attacks when the incoming damage is mitigated by 50% or more. So that means when you block, if someone's trying to shield bash you and you block it, chances are you're most likely not going to face the stun that comes from the shield block. And then strafing while blocking should no longer rotate a character, so you're not going to be rotating around or something like that. Now, melee attacks / weapons, the melee system had a lot of improvements. The system now picks melee targets better with the direction that you're pointing on. The character will slightly move towards a target and try to keep up with moving targets. So there is a forward progression to most attacks now. This is automatically adjusted when a suitable target is in range. So the system is working on that. It's got some logic there now. There's also a directionality to attack. So if you're aiming up, you can actually attack upward. And if you're aiming down, you can attack downward. This also allows for some pretty funny modular animations to occur. Highly recommend checking that out. Now, melee attacks can also be canceled by casting spells, blocking, jumping, or doing special melee attacks. So this is great because you can kind of start adding in some fakes and some more mind chess play there with your opponents in combat, as well as in PvE. You can use these things to your advantage as combat can change pretty rapidly there, which means you can start blocking more attacks better. Really, really great additions here. All weapon animations are being retimed. They're rebalanced. All weapon special attacks have been rebalanced. A couple of special effects have left or been reworked. So Blaze and Viper are reworked, and now they apply a buildup on every hit, but will cause less damage on the first one. So every time they proc, they're adding a buildup, and those keep on getting built up and built up and built up over time. So it's more of a buildup effect as opposed to just kind of instant damage. Then some various special attacks and status effects have been fixed or reconfigured to trigger more reliably. And then bows correctly scale the damage. Also with bows, you will be able to have a drawback now, and that changes how you can kind of fly your arrows, which I'm not a typical bow user, but from what I've heard, it is quite the beneficial change to archers. However, bows still aren't really useful in melee combat or in combat scenarios like dungeons and stuff like that. So all one-handed combat axes and most greatswords have been removed. There are still some two-handed swords, but not the giant Zweihanders. Those have all been removed. And then all weapons with Irabene, the slug, or mosquito special effects have also been removed. The slug was a brutal one. Mosquito also made things a lot easier. So it's great that those things have been taken away. Irabene just didn't feel like it actually did something most of the time, especially when Consecrated Ground existed. Spellcasting, targeting's been reworked. You can cancel by either moving or jumping or doing special melee or blocking. So a lot of new dynamics there with spells. You don't have to commit. They also added some new spells, specifically the Breath of Life, which is a heal over time, the Breath of Balance, which is a stamina heal, and then Breath of Joy, which increases your movement speed for a short duration. It consumes no stamina, and it's immune to movement impairing effects for its duration. The Mez spell had its cooldown and cost rebalanced. Mesmerize now correctly breaks when the affected target is being damaged by damage over time effects. Pacify 1, 2, and 3 were rebalanced to provide more straightforward progression through the spell rank. So Pacify 1 isn't as powerful anymore as Pacify 3 is, where it's just the duration that changes. I think the actual impact of the spell is changing as well. Stamina costs of most spells have been increased, and the cooldown for Haunting Memories has been extended. Haunting Memories is the AoE mez. UI, there's some nameplate changes. However, we can't see clans still. That, I believe, is a bug that's going to be changed. Enemies will display their nameplates for a duration. You can also see a number associated with an enemy's difficulty. There are a couple of different states. So gray nameplates are neutral, red are aggressive players or NPCs, green are party members, and blue are clan members. And then spell casting bars also show up when a player is casting a spell. Some camera improvements have occurred as well. Camera collision events have been smoothed out and should reduce the jumpiness that your camera experiences. New camera smoothing has also been added for melee update, which will add more sudden movements to the player character. So things have been smoothed around a bit. There's also been a lot of audio improvements. Some new sounds have been added, some impacts, some cues, some audio cues have been added as well for things for you to kind of be able to understand and interpret what's going on around you. Other updates, most emotes are now played until the player interrupts them. So like sitting, you can just sit indefinitely. You don't have to keep on hitting sit. This is great for those RPers out there. And then there was a whole heck of a lot of bug fixes where a lot of things have been updated. A great one is clan member icons now appear in the correct location on the map, even when you zoom in and zoom out. So a lot of great things there. There has been some items that are removed, and some of those, a lot of those are spirits and brews. We no longer have grape and rose hip. That is quite sad. And then also some different items have been taken out and or replaced with some new ones. The distillery has been removed from the game. I think they're looking to kind of redo that and add some things. A lot of the different ales have been taken out because of that. And then we also have all of the weapons that were mentioned before with those particular types of specials or proc effects on there, or if they are a Zweihander or a one-handed axe. And then we finally got to the hotfix for today, where they fixed a couple of issues preventing leather workbenches from being built. They fixed some issues that wines didn't have the correct attributes. Resistance potions had some fixes when it comes to cooldowns. They fixed an issue where the lowest stamina pot was regenerating at a rate of 120 for 15 seconds. And then they also took away the Bronze Griffin Windwane, which was not intended in the game, and it has now been removed. So this was something that's coming later, and it wasn't there. A definite omission is the limestone walls still have not been added to the game. So maybe the Bronze Griffin and the limestone walls are things coming with the winter patch. They also fixed an issue where spamming open and close in a redeeming queue would crash the game. They disabled FSR 3 plugins from the game project, preventing the default upscaler on AMD cards. So they're fixing some backend stuff. And then they fixed a wieldable related client crash. So a lot of updates there. Really, really great to see all of that get fixed. And then we also have some just server status updates. So if your redeeming queue is empty, go check all of your other characters. It might have ended up on another character. It's unfortunate, but that's how it works. And if you connected your Steam account to your Pax Dei account after the maintenance on November 5th and your redeeming queue is empty, just go and reach out to their support, open up a ticket, and they will be able to help you there as well. If you selected the wrong shard, you can also do that and go to the open up a ticket like I mentioned before. That is all of the patch notes that happened for this week. Holy crap, that is 18 minutes. I think this entire episode is going to be like a 30-minute episode. If you stuck around with us for the entirety of me reading off all of the server information, the patch notes, the new roadmap, and all of that, thank you so much. That's what these PAX Friday reviews are for, your one-stop shop for all things Pax Dei and Pax Dei related. So if you enjoyed today's video, please do consider leaving a like. It helps us out on the channel and gets our video out to as many people as possible. Subscribe so you can get notified whenever we post new updates, and share with any of your friends so that they can be up to date on all things Pax Dei as well. Like I said, we have a lot of videos planned. It's been quite a busy week just from the Golden Company standpoint. For anyone who's wondering, we are located in Nix, which is US East, RP server, and in Innisgallia in Aras. We're at the southeastern lake. It is a huge crater lake. There's going to be amazing builds there. We're actually partnering with a bunch of other groups in the game, working on the Golden City's neighborhood kind of system, where we're all trying to build an even larger city than what we did before, and now include other people, other communities who want to participate in these builds. I think we have over 200 plots, y'all. This is insane what it's looking like. We have completely encircled an entire lake. It is going to be a great build, and the players that we're playing with are incredible, incredible players. So I'm looking forward to sharing all of that with you in the future. But At the risk of making this video any longer, thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you in the next video. And until then, I'm Altai, the Professional Gamer.